Welcome to the Boooo-tiful Game. As always, I am Count Blake, here with Dracul Ferris and Frankenron. No, he's the doctor, you idiot, not the monster.
Hey, y'all. Is that better?
Watch this.
Look what I can do.
Be serious. This is serious.
I can reanimate life, y'all.
On tonight's episode of the Boooo-tiful Game, we recap a scary draw as the blue and red of London derby that was Chelsea versus Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Well, Ron's heart grew and Blake sank. And in the end, well, it didn't really matter. They both got a point. Then we'll once again talk some controversial calls as we welcome the Premier League back to the Merseyside derby. VAR, the only thing that sucks worse than me. That is a Dracul dad joke. Thank you. Then we'll run down the rest of Premier League action for the 2-minute drill. That's what they called my grandfather, Dracul. All of the Premier League talk before we blow the halftime whistle as the haunted hillbilly of the ham, the ghoulish ghost of the gumbo, Ron, shares with us not beer news this week, but rather Ron's haunted footy history as Halloween is almost upon us. And then finally, we'll close out the pod with the La Liga's roundup. But first, a beer. And then Ron will give us a magisterial quote from Ray Hudson. His name is too holy for me to say as a vampire. Gentlemen, do you have your beer?
Yeah, we'll go first. Just to not hear. I mean, well done for the whole thing, but man, the pot to get old in somebody's ear real quick.
Yeah, right.
That.
Oh, I had to mute myself so I wouldn't laugh. All right, beer of the pod. Ferris, I'll give you a can.
Thanks, sir. Ooh,
from the Ivanhoe Park Brewing, which is local brewery here in Orlando that,
it's 7 years ago, 8 years ago, we were there for the
we were there
opening?
as press event for cover their opening. But it's an independent craft brewery that essentially took a deep look into Florida's past and found that there was an old amusement park called Joyland. And so they named all of their beers and their brewery after the after this park. So this is the first time I've ever seen this. Doesn't mean that they haven't done it before, but they made a pumpkin beer called Never Too Late. And so I managed to snag me some. It's a pumpkin brown ale, which they threw in as much pumpkin pie as they could, brewed it with Amarillo, Cascade, and pumpkin. It has a fresh but subtle spice that brings a fall spirit to this hearty ale.
I like the can because it's a pumpkin head with kind of a muted, sad face wearing a crown that says pumpkin brown ale, and then has one of those the kazoos that you can blow, or the rolly sound noises that you can blow, and then in the mouth it has the Ivanhoe Park logo, all while wearing a nice black tux.
So we've had them on. We've done a couple of Ivanhoe Park Brewing beers, and they've always got some good beers for us. So this should be fun to give a whirl, and hopefully it's not one of those like syrupy sweet pumpkin beers that come out at this time of year. 6.9 on the old ABV, so It should be interesting. It is listed officially as a pumpkin/yam beer. So this should be interesting.
Interesting.
What you got, Blake?
Well, I cannot drink anything but blood, so let me get Blake back over here. Count Blake must go. Hey, what's up, dude? You ready to do beer? I can do beer. Let's do beer.
He was possessed
let's see.
momentarily.
Yeah. Well, I am possessing a very awesome beer right now. Oh, I saw The Pope's Exorcism, by the way, starring one Russell Crowe. Run, Don't Walk to Netflix. It's so bad, but he's so awesome.
That's what I've heard.
It's so dumb, but it's so good. It was great. I couldn't stop watching. It's terrible, but awesome.
I saw The Exorcist Believer.
I think I had more fun.
The house that we did here in Orlando at Universal, I'd walk through that before I'd go see the movie again. Much better than the movie, in my opinion.
Well, I have something better than both of those movies. This is one of those I hate. I'm not with you guys right now. Look at this. Look at this simplicity of this logo.
Ooh, lunch.
This is from a company called the Maine Beer Company. And I highly recommend when you guys get a chance to go to the mainbeercompany.com.
I just had this, Blake.
No joke, because it's
GB
rated
Bottle Shop.
97 on Beer Advocate.
I just had this at GB Bottle Shop on Sunday. When I saw that, I was like, why do I know that name? When you said Maine, I was like, I literally just had this down here. Wild.
So this one is, and I'll read what this one is. So this is the Lunch is what it's called. Lunch is a special whale that has been spotted off the Maine coast since 1982. This brewery's in Freeport, Maine. She has what looks like a bite taken out of her fin, which adds to her unique character. We dedicate this beer to her determination and persistence. Keep on swimming. Now, what's cool about this company is not just the beer that's rated so high. As I said, this one's a 97 on Beer Advocate. But they say, thank you for drinking our beer. Because on the front label, it says, literally only, Maine Beer Company, Lunch India Pale Ale, do what's right. They say, thank you for drinking our beer. You enable us to continue to do what's right, take care of our earth and the creatures that live on it, take care of our staff, and to keep making awesome beer. So if you go to their website, front panel is do what's right. From day one, our core belief has been to do what's right no matter what. Our purpose, to do good through great beer. Our values, take care of earth and encourage others to do the same. Be open and honest when it's uncomfortable. Take care of ourselves and each other. Never let each other down. Always make things better. Be respectful and kind. Quality always. I mean, that's
awesome.
like
Pretty cool.
I'm sure a word to live by. Like, I mean, that's
Right.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So they are a member of the 1% for the Planet. They've been that way since they were founded in 2009. So 1% of their gross annual sales are donated to environmental nonprofits. Their brewery is just stocked with it's solar panels all over it. Commitment to the environment is a core part of Maine Beer. We aim to create a company culture of sustainability. Their beer is held to very high standards, as they say. Our people, get this, we invest in our employees with strong compensation and benefits, providing a full-time employees with 100% paid health insurance, at least 3 weeks of paid time off, and we contribute 5% or more toward their retirement each year. So like all the stuff they do is pretty rad. Like if you go through their stuff, they do a lot of cool things. They create like accessible outdoor access and all stuff. It sounds like a really rad company. Their story is pretty fun to go through. It's the way they do their story is a bunch of different pictures. You can click through it and see their story, but I just like the very first one, which said, on May 2nd of 2006, I was traveling to Everglades National Park with my dad, my wife, Heidi, and my daughter, Zoe. I mentioned to my dad I should start a brewery. I wanted to make something real. He said jokingly I would drink all my profits. I then figured that if I made enough beer, that problem could be solved.
Nice.
Awesome.
But yeah, so super stoked to try this. The guy that Total Wine was like, ooh, this is a good one. This is like a good limited run from them. Or a seasonal run.
Where in Maine are they from?
I think I just said it. I'll double check. And this is an India Pale Ale, 7% ABV. Drink this beer fresh within 90 days. It is brewed in Freeport, Maine.
Freeport.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like I said, it's so weird when I saw that because I thought about it and I was like, oh, on Sunday, I had that, and it is damn good. So you will enjoy it, Blake.
I am very excited.
Well, shall we crack these?
And I had it on draft too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was tasty. Oh, and Blake, you know what I meant to tell you last week?
Yeah?
You remember that beer fest that you, me, and friend of the pod, Charles, went to several years back?
Yeah, was that the Orlando Beer Festival or Brew Fest?
Yeah. Guess who will be working the big storm tent there in a few weeks' time?
Hey, awesome. That was a great one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this pale ale smells fantastic.
Let's see, I gotta get this up on my nose, see if I can smell.
Oh, this smells like alcohol, and it's slightly sweet.
Alcohol, slightly sweet, definitely a stout. Pumpkin in there. Yep.
All right,
Here we go.
let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers, gents. Holy cow. Well, Ferris, you weren't wrong. This is an IPA that's like, it's malty. It's got a malt on it. With its hop, it's very smooth.
Yeah.
Slightly bready. 7% alcohol.
Yeah,
Super drinkable.
Very, very, very.
Oh man, yeah,
Very
it's
nice.
like it gives you all the like aroma and stuff of something like a 120 or 90-minute IPA from Dogfish,
Exactly, yeah.
but without being super
that
bitter
real
and
big
stuff.
kick. Like you certainly taste the
Yeah.
hops in it. Yeah. This is
Yeah, that's really good.
This is tasty.
It is, but it's sweet.
Sweet,
Whew.
slightly boozy.
I feel like as the warmer this goes, the harder it'll be to drink.
What's weird is they say all of the pumpkin pie parts, right? They put into it. You definitely taste that pumpkin pie, even the like whipped cream that you would put on top of it there, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a solid stout though. Or no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not
Brown
a stout.
ale.
It's a brown ale. That's right. So that's why it's not having the real like heavy mouthfeel.
Yeah, we're going to have to drink this fast because in about 25 minutes when it's warm, it's going to be like Robitussin.
Don't you
Hey,
don't use
good-
my line.
I don't know, man. Good
I
beer,
said that well
good beer
before
can-
you did.
Good beer can open up as it warms, so
It
don't you
can.
worry.
I don't know.
Like brown ales usually don't. Like stouts will, right? But
I prefer to drink at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh God, I don't know what that was.
Oh,
Ron, can I have my pasta my can back?
sorry.
Lovely, thank
I
you.
love me spooky time pod. Speaking of spooky times, well, before we get to our spooky nail biter of a game, Ron, do you have a Ray Hudson quote to get us into the footy?
Yes. This one is quite entertaining, and I can hear him say it when I read it. David Villa has got an eye for a goal that would make a Cyclops jealous. for your Halloween themed.
I love it.
Perfect.
A David Villa reference, man.
Yeah.
He was a good player.
Awesome. I love it.
None too shabby. Well, speaking of not too shabby, this was quite the game if you were a neutral probably to watch when it was
fun,
all
yeah.
said and done. Or I suppose good for, I mean, obviously exciting game too for Chelsea, right? Like this is actually, they came out really strong. Chelsea can't hang on to a win as Arsenal scrape out a 2-2 draw, but goalies were all the talking points in this one. An early penalty conversion by Cole Palmer in the 15th minute was followed up 3 minutes after halftime with a Mudryk cross pass shot, maybe, who knows, but it was a goal that looped over a questionable position, David Raya. But then 20 minutes later, that mistake was almost equally made by Robert Sanchez in the 77th minute, which invited Declan Rice to get on the end of it. All that before the match saw its final goal as Saka as a Saka cross found the substitute's foot of Leonardo Trossard at the back post. So 2-2 ended in a fun one at the Bridge. Chelsea better, Arsenal still unbeaten, but a lot of talk afterwards is should Arteta return to Ramsdale, which wasn't an option because Mr. Ramsdale was him and his wife were having a kid that day, or just had her, they had the baby the day before, maybe. So regardless, he was not going to play in this match. Let's hear it from Ron first. I mean, we've been had a string of Ron going, no, I don't say no hope, but frustrated. So he started off good. So,
well, I think there's a lot of positives to take away from the game, right? They showed signs of life, which was great. And for 70 minutes, they outplayed Arsenal in almost every aspect. Where I think they ended up going wrong was we don't really have the bench for it. The two players that came on, two of the players.
Well, you do. They're just
injured.
Injured.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the two players that just came on, three players that came on were just coming off of injury. So they were, kind of slow behind the pace. They're not match fit. So they were basically no help. Right.
Yeah, but good to see Reece James come on.
Certainly. But the weird thing is that I think Arteta was outplayed or outmanaged in this match for large portions of it. In that the formation that we played really bottled up Arsenal's midfield. So much so to the point where they were misplacing passes. They were second to most of the balls. They couldn't find a rhythm. And I think all that went well until we took Sterling out and we ended up putting Jackson in as the focal point striker, which we did not have for the other 70 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and Jackson has a few chances where he probably should have had those either on net and buried him. But anyways, continue. Sorry.
And I think what that did was, for large portions of the game before that, the two center backs for Arsenal, Saliba and
Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabriel, were largely confused. There was no one for them to mark. But then when the attacking came in, the runs were all over the place. So it was very confusing for those guys. On the flip side, Chelsea's defense did rather well, surprisingly, for 75-ish minutes of the game. And I have to give it to one of the players I'm kind of hard on in the Chelsea defense, Cucurella.
Absolutely.
Who completely blanked Saka for over 80 minutes.
One play.
Right.
All but one pass in the game.
Yeah. So overall, I don't think this is a case where Arsenal played poorly, so Chelsea looked better. I think Chelsea, you can start to see the Pochettino effect taking over parts of this Chelsea squad. And I think they did play better for about 70 minutes. We didn't have the legs to continue, and the substitutions that Arteta made certainly made a difference. And we were tired at the time. So I don't take this as even though we gave up a two-run lead.
Two-run lead. In the old World Series of the Premier League.
A 2-goal lead. I take more positives out of this than negatives because for all intents and purposes, I really thought Arsenal was just going to roll over us anyway. So I think there's more positives than negatives that come out of this. And it's going to, as we've been saying for quite some time on the pod, it's going to be a long rebuild. So this is a good surprise result as the team is figuring out, where they're going, what their identity is, the cohesion, the confidence in the players around you, knowing where they're going to be, when they're going to be, all that kind of stuff. So I don't see it as a loss, a draw that feels like a loss. I see it as a draw that still feels like maybe not necessarily a win because we didn't win, but it gives me hope, and it gives us, I think, a good morale lift.
Well, and just before Blake goes on, I think it does feel like a good morale lift because, for what you said, Arsenal were going to go in there and kind of steamroll, the Blues, and that didn't happen. And Arsenal are at least in the past 6 to 12 months, made themselves known as scoring late goals to draw or win games. You can, just this season alone, you can go back and name a lot of late goals that they scored, and then going all the way into last season. So that 2-0 lead is the toughest to hang on to in the game, and that's certainly the lack of a bench due to injury certainly did not help here. But all in all, it was a fun match as a neutral to watch.
And the Chelsea defense even kept Nketiah in check and Gabriel Jesus in check.
Martin Ellie was a non-factor. And one of the things here, again, before Blake goes, is both Ben White, Backstreet Boy himself with that blonde hair, Blake only a season off from predicting a highlight, but I'm going to give you that one, Blake. That good call there. And Zinchenko, who was pulled off at half, essentially, both on cards to the game. That kind of tells you the amount of work that they were having to put in keeping Udrich and Palmer kind of at bay. So very interesting. I think you made a good point there with Ron with the tactics of this game. And I think Poch really got this right. And in Chelsea are now unbeaten in the last 3 with 2 wins, if I'm not mistaken. So
correct. Your thoughts?
Well, first, I have to correct myself. Leandro Trossard, or not
Leonardo.
Not Leonardo. But to give a recommendation, I'm reading a great comic book right now called The Last Ronin about a post-apocalyptic future with only one Ninja Turtle left alive. Kind of like think of the movie Logan, but with the Ninja Turtles. So Ninja Turtles were in my head, apparently. And I definitely said Leonardo Trossard. I did not mean to do that. So I think, I told you, I don't ever feel great going into these because it's a rivalry. To me, it doesn't matter. Arsenal's last in the league, Chelsea's first, or vice versa. This game, either one of them can take out the other team. I feel like when it's that kind of a rivalry. That all being said, 3 years ago, this is a game that we lose because we don't have subs to pull in and change things and get some fresh legs in. So, rather have 3 points, but getting the draw kind of shows that the work they've been putting in on building the team worked and is working, and continuing to work. I think the whole the Ramsdale Raya thing, it's so funny. Prior to Ramsdale going in, there are people like, man, he keeps making little mistakes. They should put in Raya. Oh man, Raya's making little mistakes. They should put in Ramsdale. I honestly think that I don't know what they are in FIFA because I don't have the new FIFA, but
give me 2 seconds. I'll have a look here. You continue on.
I just mean, but if you think of in a game, you're like, who do I start? I've got a keeper that rates 81 and one that rates 80. You know what I mean? And I think you I think you have 2 guys that have different skills, but probably are pretty par overall, if that makes sense. He was certainly making today, actually, in the Champions League, he was struggling a bit with a couple of bad passes, but then had an amazing save.
Ramsdale and EAFC, 84 overall. David Raya in EAFC, 80 overall.
Yeah. So,
That
I
just
mean,
answers
like,
the core question there. Ramsdale should be back starting.
I don't think EAFC should change, should pick those things. Um, because again, today, like a couple of bad passes, but then he makes an amazing save that, saves Arsenal in the Champions League match today. So I here's the thing. We could be sitting at top right now, but Ramsdale got out of position earlier on and screwed up. I think both these guys are prone to making mistakes and prone to making amazing saves. That's, I realize, a super generic statement, but I mean, like big mistakes. It's kind of, I think, did I allude to that? They were kind of like the Brett Favre of do you know what I mean? Like Brett Favre, touchdown or interception. That's your option. And right now they both kind of feel that way a little bit. But hey, here's the thing. It'd be really rad to see Ramsdale come in, new Papa Ramsdale, after a week or two here. I don't know what he's doing with the kid, but and see if he gets a start and how he jumps in on things. I don't think it's make or break. I think both these guys, in the length of a season, would probably net you the same amount of points at the end.
Sure.
I think,
It's a talking point because of how Arteta's gone about it.
Yeah, it seems like it's like an experiment where he is trying to breed competition between the players to elevate them.
Right. So,
but it
now it's highlighted with any mistake, Blake, to your point, that they both may make throughout the season. Ramsdale does terrific last year in what he did and was the clear number one. And the only reason that Raya was brought out on loan was financial fair play type stuff. Or else he would have been brought in for that 54 million tag or whatever it was. So then you make that switch only after a few games, and a mistake from Ramsdale in a few games earlier than that. And this is a mistake for positioning and how Arteta wants him to play, and play on that front foot and out a little bit more to where he can win that ball and then get the play going again in the other way. So, what is that, a positional thing that was coached by them? It certainly, seems that way, but it's kind of like how we talked on this pod of how Arteta handled the Aubameyang thing. Well, he's the one that made him captain, and then 2 or 3 months in, now he's out of favor. He gets benched. He does this. So it comes in, and this may be a young manager who's learning the ropes here, but after the success of last season, yes, you have to add depth, but is adding depth in the form of a Kai Havertz, adding depth in the form, for that cost, and adding depth at your goalie position where now there are 2 number ones opposed to a clear number one. We've been talking about this since the start of the season. It's starting to rear its head again, and who knows where it goes. But a lot of the podcasts that I've been listening to over in England, this is certainly the main talking point out of this, as it was a 2-2 win. You're not really going to slice anything in between that. And on the other side, right, Sanchez, like, what are you doing? You're up 2-0, and you give Arsenal a gift to get back into it, and essentially, hey, Declan Rice, I'm going to roll the ball right to you, and then you're going to have a shot.
And that was a fantastic finish by Declan Rice.
It was a good strike, and you
incredible shot.
And you expect a player of his of his 100 million pound tag to hit that the way that he did and bury that ball in essentially an open net, but that got him back into it. That then gave them life. That then bred Arsenal life to put them to make those subs and get on the front foot. And it was a lovely ball by Saka. Just put it on Trossard's foot there. I mean, he didn't have to do a whole lot. Just put it in the back of the net and back post. It was a very interesting game all around, from the goalies to the 3 most expensive players in English football. Well, 2 of them all on the same pitch. The other one currently hurt, but Casado, I thought, had a good game, as did Rice. They're what, 1-2 1 in 3 and the most expensive, in the league. But all in all, it was an interesting match from a lot of sides of things. And
So, no. You said too much about the friggin' goalkeeper thing for me. Don't you wrap this up?
Just an interesting match.
I have something. I have something to add to that.
Of course you do.
Well, I think these guys debating Raya and Ramsdale are full of crap. I think it's an emotional decision. And I think where you can tell that Arteta was hanging out with a guy named Pep Guardiola is that there's a bit of a ruthlessness to his decisions, right? I think emotionally you can make these arguments, but can we look at the facts? Can we look at the facts, gentlemen? As we
just did. Ramsdale 84 on the AFC. Raya 80 on the AFC.
So here you go. Raya has made 8 saves with a 67% save rate. The same amount of games. Ramsdale 58%. Raya better on his feet. Hold on, wait. Raya better on his feet. Managed 154 successful passes compared to Ramsdale's 74 in total. Both have an accuracy rate of 78% and 77% respectively, however. Raya's made 76 long passes compared to his teammates' lowly 33, with the former raking up 43% accuracy rate to Ramsdale's 33%. So he's going to... Are people eyeballing? But if there's something I think Arteta comes out of being with Pep with, I think Pep moneyballs a little bit when he looks at his players. Right now, with those stats, that's why Raya is starting.
But what that stat doesn't show is the mistake that he obviously made in this game. How he almost got I think Nick Jackson almost scored on him from a similar mistake that he was trying to pass out of the back, and the opening moments of the Man City game where he almost passed it right to Alvarez, I believe. And if Alvarez takes that with his left foot, it's a goal. It doesn't show that necessarily. So I can't believe I'm defending Ramsdale. What the hell is wrong with me?
In the end,
I don't know.
In the end, I think what is going to tell is if it gets into a Ramsdale plays some games, then Raya plays some games, and I think both goalkeepers are going to be so afraid of making a mistake because of getting benched that it's going to actually make their play worse, right? That
or wisen the other way. One of them puts their foot down and shines because of it.
But there's not going to be right now. There's not a line drawn in the sand.
You know what, Ferris?
I think that's part of it.
You know what, Ferris?
What?
You gotta trust the motherfucking process. Cheers.
Okay. He just threw an MFer in there.
Yeah.
Like I usually just threw the F'er in there. He threw the MFer in there. That's what Sean Dyche was saying on the weekend.
Yep.
That's absolutely what he was saying. Well, he was saying, what did I do to myself to deserve this? Oh my God. I knew it was going to be fun talking about this game. I mean, hey, here's one thing I can say. I'd rather have these two guys than Man United's keeper. All right, moving on to the next match. How do we go
Not
here?
today.
Oh, yes. Hey, every day, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
That was a good save.
Hey,
Anyways.
it was a good save. Right, Ray had a good save today, too. And a better game. All right, so let's see. Where are we at here?
Liverpool.
It's more fun to fight with Ferris when he's got a stash.
We actually drew a line in the sand. Hey, you're going to be our number one. De Gea, you going?
Your stash is your line in the sand. I love arguing with your stash because when you're annoyed, it goes flat and you become Ron Swanson. It's the best. I love it. I love it.
I like that you called me Ron Swanson is probably
just hovering above the microphone for my little view on the FaceTime. I love it. I love it. Ugh. I needed this today. It's been a crazy day, gentlemen. All right. Liverpool win another Merseyside derby. I don't think any of us... This is a rivalry I wasn't worried about how it might go.
Yeah, right.
but notwithstanding winning, there were some controversial calls / no calls as they win 2-0 on the day over their crosstown rivals, Everton. Ashley Young was sent off in the 37th minute, but was his first a yellow. Ibrahim Konate received a yellow in the 50th. And should he have received a second in the 67th? Sean Dyche certainly thought so. So he himself, dropper of the MFers, received a yellow for his disagreement and was promptly subbed off at the same time by Klopp. As Konate was promptly subbed off at the same time.
He makes
by
the
Klopp.
Tackle. Sean Dyche goes off. So before there was any kind of like VAR review or anything, then Klopp's like, "Come here, you're off the game. You're out of the game. You can't. You can."
And Klopp even said in the post interview, like, "Yep, I subbed him off."
Yep.
Right, he knew.
Good managerial right there. Like good managerial.
Yeah. That was like a Mourinho move. It felt like it was. I liked it. Salah went on to convert a penalty in the 75th minute, doubling the tally in the 97th minute as Liverpool once again went on to take all 3 points from the Blue Neighbors. But once again, we are talking about mother effing reffing decisions. Were Everton hard done by here?
Well, here's the thing. We have to really grade this game off of one thing and one thing only. Was an apology given by the PGMOL? No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Right? But you can sit here and go, and it's slightly fucking fun, but the tables are kind of reversed here, right? Where Liverpool kind of got screwed against, what was it, Tottenham?
Yeah.
And then there was that apology. Well, a lot are saying that Everton got screwed here by, Ashley Young, that was a very soft card to begin with. And then Konate should have seen the same with a tackle that, what's his name in the Arsenal game saw. In the Arsenal-Chelsea game. And,
and that
Sean Dyche went off about that. And then it's not like Liverpool were dominating the game. It was actually a very good, balanced game. Certainly a pen, but that kind of changed the game a lot, and I think that's what Sean Dyche was so mad for and why he got the card that he did. But it kind of shows you these things go both ways at times, right? And in this point, it favored Liverpool.
It is consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, right. We've had a couple of weekends of double yellows that were should or no yellow followed by yellow. That maybe that first one should have been a yellow. We've seen a lot of that here.
Like
in the last
Mateo Kovacic for Man City should have received 2 yellows and being sent off a lot more than Ashley Young in this game. So that's where the inconsistency is so infuriating. As you see those things, you're like, well, he wasn't sent off. He didn't even receive a second card for that.
Right.
And Ashley Young receives a very soft first and then is sent off the moments, after that. And you're just like, well, what the hell?
Yeah. What was good about the international break? We didn't really talk about reffing decisions and VAR screw ups which was kind of a nice break. And now we are back. So I think in some ways, yes, Everton were hard done by. To answer the question.
I think sadly though, Ron, my gut to that question is not really, because if Liverpool had 9 men, they were still going to win this game. Everton sucks. So
but that's not the point.
It's hard.
That isn't the point.
I know, but it's hard to with the Man City, like Ferris was mentioning, people talked about that a bunch. This kind of went away pretty fast because
every review of the game, I mean,
is still talking.
A lot of it's similar type. Like, hey, Everton actually weren't bad in this game. Stupid pen in terms of with the arms out, and it is what it is. But in terms of the cards and the decisions, it was almost like, well, Liverpool weren't finding anything in the match up until that point, and weren't really terrorizing Everton as much as we all kind of thought they were.
They needed the ref to help them.
To kind of, well,
I mean, that's what, it's the way it worked.
It definitely, it changed the game, right? You're now going against 10 opposed to 11. So those attacks are going to come more frequently, put that defense under pressure. And, the second goal came in, the 97th out of 99. So It's, you know, do we think that Liverpool probably would have won this game? Yeah, but to Ron's point, that's not the point. The point is the inconsistency at which these happen. And yes, it's humans and it's going to be errors, but it is infuriating to go, well, how about that, but not this? It's tough. It's tough, and hopefully that swings in Everton's favor the next game or the game after that or whenever, because it certainly seems like it's not, every week or with every team, but yeah.
You know what is consistent? The lacing of this beautiful beer. Good gosh, this is good.
Quite good.
All right, well, let's move us on to the rest of the results of week 9 with our one question for each match as we go into our 2-minute drill. Bournemouth headbutt their way out of this match as Wolves come from one behind in the second half to win 2-1 on the day. When will Bournemouth finally get a win?
They probably should have in this one. Just
right?
dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb to do. Like, yeah, it's not an overly aggressive headbutt, but still, you got to know at this point of the, or at this time of age that we're playing, and that will get you sent off. And it just capitulated after that.
I think they have the potential to win on Saturday, October 28th against Burnley. And they have the next opportunity to win.
So this Saturday.
Or I should say, sorry, yeah. Get points would be against Burnley and then Luton Town on December 16th.
You can't forget about Sheffield United November 25th, but they have a brutal schedule. Like, if they play Burnley and then they play Liverpool, Man City, Newcastle, back to back to back. Oof.
Yeah. But I think Sheffield United, with the amount of harassment that they gave to Manchester United this week or this past week,
that was by far their best game. But
sure.
Both of those teams are.
But if they show up in the way they played Manchester United playing against Bournemouth, I think it's pretty close to say that they.
Yeah, fair.
Hey, look, we just still need Burnley and Bournemouth and Sheffield to be that bad so that next year Luton Town can build a new extension to Bob's apartment over there.
And right now they are Burnley 18th, Bournemouth 19th, and Sheffield 20th.
All right. Ooh, that was saucy.
What was saucy about it?
That's maybe it was how it came through on my end, but it went like like you were like,
no, not here.
Okay, that was just for me. That's exactly what it sounded like.
Brentford get a much needed victory as they beat Burnley 3-0 at the G-Tech. Burnley in trouble, eh?
Hey, they at least have a win. I mean, Bournemouth and Sheffield don't even have a win on the season yet, but minus 16 goal difference, almost the same as Sheffield United. Had United not scored that one against Sheffield United, it'd be the same, but they've only scored 7, 23 against, 4 points. Yeah, they're in trouble.
They're dire. Well, I think the question for me is Company going to make it through the season? In the beginning, I think we all thought he would.
I don't see right now why he wouldn't. He did so well to get them up, and what other options do you have out there that you're gonna bring in, right?
Well, I'll tell you what.
If Sean Dyche gets sacked from Everton, then you bring Sean Dyche back to Burnley.
It's November in about a week. I think when it hits December, he's in trouble.
I'd say
if it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I'd say in the new year in January.
I don't know. I think he built up a bunch of credit.
I agree.
And it's going to be hard to sack him.
You know who I love keeps building up credit, Iran?
What's that?
I love that Ferris's goalkeeper keeps building up credit. Oh, and that Maguire built up some more credit today.
Yeah,
keep him, baby.
Oh, we will get to that. Don't you worry. But the real question is if Company gets fired, does JJ Watt fly over to England and fire Company himself?
Well, he's a minority owner. So
it doesn't matter. Who cares?
So I doubt
So he can be one of 4 people in the room to sack him, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacked by JJ Watts. Heard that before.
He sacked a lot of quarterbacks at his time. Might as well sack the manager.
Oh, God. Hilarious.
Rodri was back for Manchester City as they held on to beat Brighton 2-1 to avoid 3 losses in a row. Brighton, 2 losses and a draw in their last 3 in the league. Are Brighton kind of faltering a bit here?
They've certainly got a bit of a stumble going on. And the question is, in my opinion, this is one of those stumbles where it could go either way. You can either regain your balance or you can commit to the stumble and just fall flat on your face, right? We've all been there, tripping over something, and you're the more you try and catch up, the harder it gets,
Yep.
right? I think they need to. Go ahead, Blake.
Graham Potter back next year. Is that what's going to happen?
I think they need to go back to the things they like doing. I feel
You
like
mean Graham Potter?
De Zerbi has done really well with that team. It doesn't look like they're having fun anymore, right? I feel like the pressure is slowly mounting on them with all of their European games, some minor injury problems.
Ferguson, March, both subbed off in this with injuries. I'm sorry, Danny Welbeck and March. Ferguson subbed on for Welbeck. So, yeah, you are seeing that attrition kind of take place a little bit now.
So I think they have to get back to kind of the roots, the things they do well, the fundamentals that got them to where they are, and the fun they were having. And it's easy for me to say sitting here on the other side of this microphone,
Sure.
but try not to let all the pressure get to you. You were having so
in
much
a way,
fun.
I would argue, Ron, the pressure is a little off because they've stumbled so hard. So here's your chance to rebalance, like you said. You know,
I don't know if the pressure was really on them. They were always just a nice surprise. You know, but I think Europe's playing a lot into this, you know, right now. And in the second half, they were a better team. So I agree with Ron. I think they're going to stumble and they're going to be just fine. But I don't know if they're going to be quite the Brighton that we've seen so far.
Aston Villa's taken that spot. So Newcastle hammer Palace as they put 4 past the Eagles to make 4 wins in their last 5 and 32 goals in the last 3 games. I don't know, something like that. Will the Tonali gambling news derail Newcastle at all? That sucks, man, because that looks pretty bad.
Yeah. And you've got to figure that if they have the case they say they have, he's out of football for quite a bit.
And he's admitted to it as well.
Right. So
yeah, he did. Which, I mean, give him credit. Is that like the first player that's done that?
Yeah, and he did sub in on this game, so like nothing's been determined yet. But we also saw, what was it, Ivan Toney played an entire season, and then with all of those allegations that came out, and now he's banned. So you could see that this could be a 2-year. I mean, this is interesting. News broke of it this past week, and I don't think it's going to derail them. Yes, Tonali was a very good signing for them, a big signing, but if Longstaff, Joe Linton, and Bruno play as well as they did in this match in the midfield going forward, and they do have some others there, I don't think so. But they do lose Tonali. That's depth, that's talent, that's European talent, that's very good experienced talent that they are going to lose for a bit. And at the 60-50 mil that he was brought in for, that is a big loss, regardless of how you put it, you know?
Yeah. Do you think the team, like, from a legal standpoint, they brought you in under all this money, you've been gambling, and you have put yourself in a bad place where you can no longer legally perform because of, whatever your sentence happens to be. Does the team get any recourse? Because they're out all this money now on a player that can't play.
No,
so are they just like screwed?
They could get out of a contract, but we'd have to know what the contract details are and if something like this kind of voids it. But I don't think
I
we're
would
that far
imagine
along yet.
This probably would void. I
would
be
imagine
shocked.
too, but
yeah.
Luton Town score in extra time as they fought back for a 2-2 draw with Nottingham Forest. Are we feeling that Luton can stay up?
It might be a world where they get real lucky and the teams that are below them just are dreadful.
Yeah,
you know, and
might be right, Blake.
scoot by.
In a
They
world where Luton
Yeah.
Town can stay in the Premier League.
Built off of toilets, sinks, and entryways. They survive the hardest league in the world. Coming in the attic, Luton Town. 17th place, 12 points. Not the worst. Let's go.
Ron, I'm gonna need you to pull that audio out and put some trailer music behind it.
I know, right?
I can't wait.
Good for them. On the road, right? If I'm not mistaken. Well done fighting back. 83rd minute goal and a 92nd plus minute goal. Spirit fight, went at it. After they got the double wood in this game.
Yeah.
Not the single wood. They got the double wood in this game.
Yeah.
It tends to happen.
I guess it can.
Happens to some guys.
But yeah, no, good for them. And yeah,
If it-
Blake, to your point, there are three worst teams right now. They don't even have a win. Don't even have points. Like, I mean, or have a single point, I should say. So it's that they could.
Just remember, if your double would last more than 4 hours, to call a doctor.
That makes
Seek
you
medical-
a priapist.
All right. We will, before we go into the Man United game, we will first have a 9-second moment of silence because that was the number that Sir Bobby Charlton wore as we kind of honor the England and Manchester United legend who sadly passed away on Saturday at the age of 86. A survivor of the Munich air disaster, a World Cup winner with England in 1966, and a European Cup winner with Manchester United in 1968. 10 years later, after the Munich air disaster, England, Manchester United, and the greater footballing world lost a legend of the game in Sir Bobby this past Saturday. Manchester United did have a game Saturday and ended up honoring Sir Bobby on the day as they pulled out a 2-1 win on the road to winless Sheffield United, courtesy of a Diego Dalot. God almighty, I can't believe I'm saying that. Upper 90 strike in the 77th minute. Will Manchester United ever put a full 90 minutes or solid play together?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I think it's going to be a bit.
They did it today either, but they somehow pulled out another win. We talked about it briefly, but Harry Maguire, won man of the match in this match, scored a goal today, the lone goal in the Champions League, to win the game for them. Two very good matches for him. You got to give it up. Remember he was stripped of the captaincy at the beginning of the season. Has gone through just a rough patch, a very, very rough patch, and has been the butt of a lot of jokes. Onana, not the greatest start to a United career at all, but made some very good saves in this game, and then made the penalty save today in the Champions League. I think at some point they might put a full 90 game together. I have zero clue when that's going to be. If it's against City on Sunday,
Manchester Derby.
That would be awesome, but I'm not hopeful of it, and I'm not very, I'm looking forward to that game, but I'm also not looking forward to that game. But nonetheless, they grind out a win against a very hungry Sheffield United who have not won a game this season, and as a lot of the commentators on NBC were saying, was obviously their best half of football that they played all season. Another Scott McTominay goal, but another Scott McTominay penalty.
Is it McTominay United for right now?
Sure. Hey, listen, he's the only one scoring goals. He's the only one allowing the other team to have an opportunity to score goals. I mean, but you give it to him. He's he's playing, with the club on his sleeve in terms of he's playing tough and he's going after it and he's making something happen. And he's clearly earned a spot in that team. And Ten Hag has seen that amongst a lot of other things that are going on between the takeover, Sancho. It's just a mess at the moment. And with Sir Bobby occurring on this day, it was just a tough day in general. And to grind out a win, a beautiful Diego Dalot hit. You got the win.
A Douglas Luiz, I always said David Luiz, a Douglas Luiz double and goals from On Fire, Ollie Watkins, and substitute Leon Bailey were more than enough for Aston Villa to move up to 5th in the table with a 4-1 win over West Ham. Can Aston Villa stay in this fight for top 4? I think they're here to stay in a top 6 fight, I'll say.
Yes, I'll say top 6 as well.
Yeah.
Europe for them and squad depth, I think, will play into it a little bit later in the season. But damn good team.
Yeah.
Damn good team.
And they've managed to do this on the back of injuries from some of their more reliable players. So what Emery has done in this team, and I think tomorrow, the 25th, is an exact 1 year for Emery being at the club, and his record is incredible.
Yeah, and when you say, you have right now Emiliano Buendia on injury unknown, Jacob Ramsey late November, Tyrone Mings out probably for the year, along with Callum Chambers, Traore, Dendonka, Diego Carlos, all of those would at least be on the bench, if not in a starting spot currently. So, yeah.
So I say if they were to end in 5th and 6th, unless Man City managed to win Champions League and Premier League again, I think he's like coach of your year, man. Your manager of your year in Premier League. I would put him up there for that in a heartbeat.
Early shout, probably, sure. But we're 9 games in of a 38 game season.
I said if they can end, and if they end in 5th or 6th, like what he has done in a year, I'd put him right up there.
Yep.
No argument. They play such a fun style of football, and even when they're not performing at their best and they're really kind of trying to grind a match out, or you can never just count them out, because Ollie Watkins, he just looks at the goal and the ball goes in. Right. So they're a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited to see where the rest of the season goes for them. And finally, Son and Madison were at it again as they each scored to beat London foes Fulham 2-0 on Monday night. Tottenham are still unbeaten. Are they title contenders yet?
They got to make it to game 10 and win that one before they're title contenders. No, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
Where does that come from?
Now, isn't that? Well, no, I feel like isn't there something kind of like that we did with Arsenal last year, where it was like, well, they still haven't lost yet, or when do we say it's a title run? They're kind of in that spot. The other question I want to ask is, do you think Harry Kane is annoyed at this at all?
No,
I don't think so. I think he's
happy that they're doing well.
It in
he's
the Bundesliga.
Yeah, he scored again on the weekend. I think he's happy for them. Interesting all around. But they play Palace away at Palace on Friday, so this Friday, so kind of a short week for them as they go Monday through Friday, so a short end of the stick. But no Europe for Tottenham. That plays big into the title challenge, I think. And then they go, and then they host Chelsea on Monday the 6th. So they have a little bit longer going from that Friday to Monday. Those 2 games, if they can win both those games, I think absolutely you have to say they're title contenders.
I don't know. I have a hard time saying anybody's the title shot until we get to Christmas, right?
Fair enough.
Because there's so much Europe. There's so many festive fixtures. It's really difficult to say someone's going to, be the title contender when so much can happen, especially with those matches all stacked upon each other. So I personally don't call that until after that.
They are a club that if they were to lose a player for 4 or 5 weeks, it really will screw things up. They do not have a big depth at this point.
Especially if it's Madison.
Yeah. Madison or Sun.
Yep.
And Sun's definitely been, knocked out of portions of seasons before. So,
that takes us out.
You got to blow the whistle.
Hold on. Give Blake a card for that.
I know,
He's
right?
antagonizing the ref, wanting to blow the thank you.
Come on. Gonna get a yellow for delay of game over here.
Ron, before you get into the beer news, can I have another one of them beers?
You liked it?
Yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Yeah. Gotta have a pumpkin beer with some scary stories coming up.
Yeah. True
Oh,
story.
that's true, man. I was gonna go get a Halloween beer, but I only in this little cabin I'm staying at while I'm still looking for a place to stay. I didn't want to add any more things into it. I'm trying to pare down and get out of this as I search for a new place to live.
Is your fire extinguisher?
It's
compliance,
it's got
though?
the tag on it. It's
Okay, good.
today.
Just make sure.
We're good. Yeah.
Well, just because it is the tag doesn't mean it's
True.
Yeah.
Has been
Compliant.
punched,
I'm
has been checked. Have you stuck your finger up the
Whoa,
balloon?
whoa. It's not what
Whoa,
you do with that. Moving
whoa!
along.
I'm not. Ferris is referring to those of you listening to my little cabin that I'm staying in while I'm relocating to Connecticut, looking for places. Got in the shot. I have behind my kitchen counter is a big old fire extinguisher just by my head.
And when you do a check on fire extinguishers, there's certain things you have to do that just to make sure that it's safe and clear and able to be used in case of a fire. I certainly hope you do not, Blake.
Does anybody remember what PASS stands for?
Oh gosh, I can see the little graphic of the guy, and I'm forgetting what it stands for.
Pull.
Pull,
Point.
aim, squeeze, and sweep.
There you go. Sweet. There you go.
You're welcome. The Boooo-tiful game just saved your life. Now you know how to use a fire extinguisher. Make sure you stand 6 to 8 feet backwards, aim at the base of the flames, and always have an exit to your back. There you go.
Look at this guy.
Hey.
Our podcast is OSHA rated.
Sign him up for one of those, like you sit in the class and there's the guy telling you what to do. You'd be perfect for that. Just get to that little speech there.
Considering I have been blowing stuff up my entire life, I have been around a fire extinguisher or 1,000.
It's nuts. He's only professionally been doing it for 2 years. The rest was all with the mom.
Yeah. I mean, I slept at a Holiday Inn. What else do you need?
I
my
miss
God.
those commercials so
That
much.
is a throwback commercial.
I miss
Jeez.
those so much.
You're welcome. All right, gentlemen. Are you ready for the haunted news on our Halloween podcast?
Oh, you bet your sweet bippy.
All right, first up,
That was for you, Ferris.
Thank you.
we go to the African Football League,
Ooh.
specifically in Rwanda.
Where Arsenal have Visit Rwanda on their shirts. I like the Premier League tie.
Dun, dun, dun. Witchcraft has been outlawed by the African football chiefs over fears that teams will gain an undue advantage during a match with its use. However, it has not stopped teams who are desperate enough to perform it.
Oh.
In a match between Rayon Sports...
Wait. In a match. You have to say it like, in a world. In a match.
In a match between Rayon Sports, who were trailing away at Mercura Victory Sports, 1-0 during a match in the Rwandan Premier League. Their striker, Musa Kamara, decided to take matters into his own hands. Just moments after missing a clear goal-scoring opportunity, Kamara was seen dashing toward the opponent's goal, leaning a small object against the post before being chased off by the goalkeeper and a few defenders. A few minutes of play later, the forward scored the equalizer goal for his team and celebrated the goal with a run similar to the one he did a few minutes back to escape the goalkeeper's outstretched hands. He placed an idol on the field.
It's like one of them dolls.
On the goal line, which was found by the keeper after the goal. The player was arrested for witchcraft. The match ended there at a 1-1 draw.
Was he
Jose
arrested
Mourinho-
during the match or after the match?
During.
Like in the 77th minute, opposed to getting a card, the police come on and put you in cuffs and you're off to the...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know if there were cuffs involved, but...
And I don't want to go to a Rwandan jail. That does not sound like a good time.
My brain just went to a trial for this, and it thought of the Blackadder episode where they're going to put the horse on trial for witchcraft.
Yeah. Yep.
What year was that in, do you know?
2005.
Oh, so like...
Oh, sorry, 2004. My bad.
That's awesome. That's a good one. That's
That's a good one. Ron.
Witchcraft alive and well in the African or the Rwandan Premier League. Next up, the Sunderland Ghost.
Stadium of Light.
In 2005, Sunderland were chasing to be promoted into the Premier League. Little did they know that they were being chased by a ghost who was reportedly seen in and around their training facility. 2 of the physios for the club reported they were chased down a corridor by the ghost. And Stephen Elliott, the Irish international striker, also adamantly reported seeing the specter on numerous occasions. Fans have also attested to seeing a groundsman working on the pitch pre-game only to vanish instantly. The appearance of this alleged ghost also coincided with Sunderland's loss that snapped an 8-game winning streak. After a host of unexplained losses and injuries, the ghost seemed to have vanished. But then, in 2016, the groundsman ghost allegedly appeared again, but this time on live TV behind Jamie Carragher. You can look up the video on Twitter and decide that for yourself.
Can you really?
Yes, you can.
They are now chased by the ghost of an Amazon documentary that was supposed to celebrate them.
No, that was Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
That
You're
was
right.
Netflix.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
And,
can,
and Ron, it's not Twitter, it's X.
whatever.
Gross.
But it's funny because you see the pundits all talking, and they have the live shot of the screen behind them,
Do you?
of the field behind them on screen, and you watch a groundsman walking and then just disappear. It's incredible.
The first thing when I go, Jamie Carragher ghost into X, it goes, Jamie Carragher, Antonio Conte has banished the ghost of Jose Mourinho at Chelsea.
So feel free to go check out that whole Sunderland thing, because that's
I'm
pretty.
trying to find it now.
That's
I know, I'm
pretty
trying to
entertaining.
find it. Where the hell is it?
I'll put a link out because I fell down the rabbit hole on that one. It was pretty entertaining.
Uproar after spotting ghosts. Oh, man. Here. Can I find it? Okay. I just got spammed there.
I'll show it to you guys. Are you ready for the third and most wacky? Or I shouldn't say wacky. I should say strange.
Okay. Let's go.
Throw it down.
King Richard III.
Ooh.
The remains.
Good old tricky Dick. The one who was the bad guy in Shakespeare, Richard III.
Not the tricky dick, the triple dick. Because he was the third. So
Well
we've
done.
had the double wood and the triple dick on this podcast. You're welcome.
And afterwards, I'm going to have a bit of spotted dick to eat. So there we are.
Yes, Governor.
The remains of Richard III, the last English king to be killed in a battle, were discovered within the site of the former Grey Friars Priory in Leicester, England, in September of 2012. This gentleman happens to be about a mile from the King Power Stadium. Richard III was the final ruler of the Plantagenet dynasty, which was killed on the 22nd of August, 1485. If you're charting along home with your history, that was the Battle of Bosworth Field.
Bad year.
Which was the
My kingdom for a horse.
which was the last significant battle of the War of the Roses versus Henry Tudor and his armies. Richard III's body was taken to the Greyfriars in Leicester, where it was buried in a crude grave in the friary. Following the friary's dissolution in 1538 and subsequent demolition, Richard's tomb was lost. When the grave was found in the 2012-2013 football season, extensive anthropological and genetic testing began to ensure the accuracy of the find. Strangely enough, this coincides with Leicester City FC's sharp rise in winning in the winning to get 6th place in the championship. The following season, they get promoted to the Premier League.
And 2 seasons later, they
Hold
win
on.
sorry.
Hold on. So following the testing, the remains, which took a number of years, the remains were confirmed that it was indeed King Richard III. The remains were then reinterred at the Leicester Cathedral in the 2015-2016 season, which is when Leicester inexplicably wins the Premier League title. Gentlemen, is that coincidence?
That's pretty good. These were good, Ron.
And that is your haunted football history.
Give yourself an applause for that one.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So,
Man.
I'm gonna pull a Ron Keller. Because tonight I'm the one with the tiny bladder. I'm going to intro this next one, and then I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back. So let's get us over to Ferris for the La Liga's Roundup.
But seriously, like, should Ramsdale be the starter? For
Yes.
Arsenal?
I don't know why
100%, right?
there is no reason for them
Yeah.
to have changed any
Right.
of it.
84 versus an 80 on EAFC.
I mean,
that
just-
says it all, right?
Consistency,
Unbelievable,
right?
And can you zoom in on his? I think his fire extinguisher might be out of date there.
I don't know. I can't zoom in on the FaceTime.
Anyways, the La Liga's roundup. You got it. Well, the post-international break edition of the La Liga's roundup. We'll focus on soccer action. We'll just stay in the good old US of A as the NWSL playoffs kicked off with the semifinals now set, while the MLS playoff teams are now locked in with play in games happening this week. So I was mistaken last pod. The first rounds of the NWSL were not in a few weeks. They were actually this past week on Friday and Sunday. But on Friday, this past week, a lone and late goal by Veronica Lastico, which was in the 87th minute, saw Laura Harvey's and Megan Rapinoe's OL Reign advance over Angel City to take on Shield winners San Diego Wave in the semifinals. Just a tight game all around. The home field probably played a big part in this. You know, when you're left back for the Reign is your star of the game, with an 8 overall rating. That's pretty darn good. But nonetheless, OL Reign, get in, advance, and we'll take on San Diego. And I'm not sure when. I'm going to give you an accurate assessment of when that match is set to take place. But that will actually be not this weekend, next weekend. Snapdragon Stadium, 9:30 on November 5th, so Sunday. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Now, on Sunday, this past Sunday, Gotham City on the road scored at the end of each half to dump North Carolina Courage out of the playoffs in what was a 2-0 win in North Carolina. Like North Carolina are a tough team, and they've shown that year after year as being very defensive and very stingy at home and very tough to beat. And Gotham went in there, scored 2 at the end of each half, just potent. And they are going to advance, and they will take on the Portland Thorns on Sunday, November 5th as well. Gentlemen, thoughts on these games and who you got in the next round?
I was really surprised how well Gotham managed that game.
Agreed.
Considering, like you kind of had brought up earlier, going to North Carolina has been one of the places that you just don't want to go to play.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to squeak out a goal at the end of the first half, which you thought, oh man, it's going to be on in the second half when North Carolina come back out and really start grinding it to Gotham City, but it just never materialized.
Yeah, and I think it never materialized because North Carolina, prior to this match, news broke that they lost their main goal scorer in Caroline, who has had a terrific year, and that goal potency wasn't quite there. You know, good for the back 4 of Gotham, all very high rated, 7.5s and above according to FootMob, with Mateen Lopez coming in at 8.1 and Ali Krieger at an 8.0. So very well done from them going in, getting that win, deservingly so. And who do you get for that? The Portland Thorns. Yeah, and that's going to be in Portland at Providence Park, 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, November 5th, while the aforementioned OL Reign will take on the first place and Shield winners at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, the San Diego Wave.
I think Gotham will beat Portland.
They certainly have the chance.
Good chance.
Yeah.
Good chance.
I think they'll beat Portland.
And to confirm, said this on a few pods back, CBS Sports Network, both those semifinal games will be on CBS Sports Network. So if you have that, it'll be on there. And I believe it might be on Paramount Plus as well.
Yes, it is. It's on Paramount Plus as well.
And then the final will be on Big CBS November 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So looking forward to those.
So who do we have going to the final, gents?
I said it on the last pod. I think Thorns and San Diego are going to play in the finals, which would be very, very interesting because San Diego is going to be playing at home if they do, in fact, advance as they're playing in Snapdragon on November 11th.
Blake?
I think it'll be Gotham and San Diego.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ron?
I was going to go with the same as Blake, Gotham and San Diego.
Okay.
But Gotham went to North Carolina, and Gotham beat a state that actually has a town in it called Batcave. So, man.
And Lizard Lick.
Yeah.
Interesting fact from Blake. Weird fact from Ron. Thank you.
Do you remember?
No.
And maybe you have never seen this, but on True TV, which used to be a thing.
Yeah. It still is, I think.
There was a TV show.
And Practical Jokers.
No.
That's the only thing they ever play on it.
Oh, there's a TV show, a reality, quote unquote, TV show called Lizard Lick Towing.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah. Blake and I both filmed it.
Did you really?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah, we did stunts and effects for that thing.
Stunts and effects for a reality TV show. Lizard Lick.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Lizard Lick, the town of Lizard Lick, is a single intersection.
One stoplight, my friend.
Love it.
It's got like a gas station on one corner, a
Walgreens
wrecker.
and a CVS.
No,
on the other
not
corners.
even that much.
Oh, whoa. That's big city stuff,
that's
man.
true,
No.
No, this
you ain't
is
got that, man.
Lizard Lick is pot of neck bone country.
Okay.
I was going to say, it's all like a pot of neck bone down there, man.
Hey, sticking with North Carolina, you know who made it in the East? Old Charlotte.
Yep.
They drew with Inter the midweek game, but then beat Inter Miami with a Lionel Messi who played on a plastic pitch. 1-0 on the day.
That's
Now,
a big one.
Yeah, very, 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 very big one. So this was all during a 6 p.m. Slate on the East Coast, which was actually a lot of fun if you watch the Kick Around show on Apple.
Was it
TV Plus?
360, right?
360. It was fun to watch. Now,
sorry, real quick. for those of you who haven't watched it, it is basically NFL Red Zone, but for soccer.
Yeah, and they have boxes of 4. They have a whole panel from like Sasha to Lee McHugh to Kalen Kyle, and they're just all just shooting it and just talking fun. Anyway, so they win 1-0 over that team. While CF Montreal, who we talked about, the Crew did beat them 2-1 on the day. So now CF Montreal was now relying on other teams to then get in. Well, and the other one, if you roll over in the 94th minute, which out of like 95, I think at the time, or 6, something like that, via a penalty conversion, which was absolutely a pen that I believe Nashville had over New York. Youngster John Tolkien, who's been kind of their starlet so far in the season, converted it. That then puts them in, got them in, and knocked out Montreal with that late win. Absolutely wild there at what was the very end, as that goal happened. Was one of the last games to end, too, in the 94th minute plus out of, what was it exactly? I'm trying to find it. I think that might have been the last kick.
Could have
Yeah,
been.
I think it was right. Yeah, I think it was like one of the last kicks. But the other results from Decision Day in the East included FC Cincinnati and Atlanta United 2-2. Nothing to play for there. However, interesting matchup. Philadelphia Union and New England Revolution. New England won 2-1. Interesting matchup there because I believe they'll see each other in this next round of 3. New York City did get the win over Chicago Fire 1-0, but both teams miss out on the playoffs courtesy of that New York Red Bulls goal. And there was the Charlotte win as well, is what kind of knocked them out. So they both gone. So thank God we won't see any playoff games at a baseball field. Just saying. Duncan McGuire with the brace. First goal was absolutely class. Nothing really for Orlando City to play for. They were always going to end up second in the East.
One quick thing about the Orlando City match.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Duncan McGuire, for his goal, completely retired Bradley. With that,
On the second
that
one?
heel kick over Bradley to get around. I mean,
That's the shit that happens to me on Sunday mornings.
like just retired Bradley.
Yeah. Bradley is retiring from the game, and that definitely that was, if that wasn't a sign, then I don't know what was. The old, was it Jeff Foxworthy? Here's your sign.
No, not him. It's the other one of the blue collar comedy guys.
Ron Ingvall.
Who?
Yeah, the one that's terrible.
Anyways, Toronto not good this season. Bradley up there, but congrats to him. What a wonderful career with the U.S. men's national team, and a long steward of Toronto FC. Yes,
Bill Engvall.
there you go. But yeah, Duncan McGuire said, "Here's your sign, Bradley. Go ahead and play a little bit of golf up there in Toronto.
Shuffle off.
Exactly.
It's over.
But yeah, those were your results from the East. We'll go over the table here in a second, but we'll go over to the West first, which you had about a 45 to 55 minute break as the games transferred over, and then the 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game for the West, these games took place. Now, all of the Western Conference teams obviously played at this time slate, and FC Dallas and Sporting KC absolutely earned their ways into the playoffs with just emphatic wins over both the LA Galaxy and Minnesota United, respectively. Now, FC Dallas won 4-1 behind a brace from Bernard Kamungo, while over in Sporting KC match, another brace courtesy of Johnny Russell saw Sporting get the 3-1 win over Minnesota United, who were fighting for a place as well to get in, if you remember from the last pod and following the table. But both just earned their ways in with those emphatic wins, 3-1, 4-1 on the day. Portland at home, in what is has been a fortress for them just absolutely dire. A 3-1 loss on the day against Houston Dynamo, who are a very good team. Won the Lamar Hunt Cup this year. You might have to leap that word out there. I said the see you next Tuesday, but by accident, Ron. That was a.
I'm glad you just drew attention to it when you could have just let it go.
I know, but like that was.
Yeah, please. He's like, I'd like that struck from the record.
Yeah, like
please.
we struck that from the record. Lamar,
I do listen when I edit.
So anyways, they did not earn their way in. They were knocked out. Matt Call kind of mentioned that to us on the X. But San Jose Earthquakes had a 1-1 draw in their game, and that was enough for them to get in. So here's how the MLS league table ended up after decision day. In the East, FC Cincinnati, Shield winners on 69 points, Orlando City 63, Columbus Crew 57, Philadelphia Union 55. That rounds out your top four. Then you had the New England Revolution, Atlanta United, Nashville SC, all solidified in the playoffs. Do not have to play a play-in game. Remember, we have a play-in game this year. Play-in games start tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th. Those play-in teams in the East, New York Red Bulls were in 8th, and Charlotte with that big win in 9th, both on 43 points. CF Montreal, New York City, DC, so on and so forth, all kind of missed out on 41 points and below. In the West, St. Louis, hell of a season, finished above Seattle Sounders in with 56 points. Seattle Sounders 53. LA FC 52 points. Houston Dynamo in 4th and 51 points. Real Salt Lake, Vancouver, and FC Dallas round out your 7. So the two play-in teams that will play again tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th, Sporting KC and San Jose Earthquakes, who made their way in. Interesting format, interesting way, but a lot of fun on decision day from both the WSL, which we saw last week, and then an interesting for the MLS this week. So all in all, what do you make of the decision days and kind of how this played out in this league? Do you think it really helped the league this year so far?
I still think there are too many teams getting into the playoffs.
There's a lot of teams getting into the playoffs. I'm not saying I don't have a crystal ball to know that this is bad moving forward, but I think the first year with Apple, reach isn't necessarily what it can be on terrestrial TV, even though that is on its way down too. And I think the future is more things like Apple, where you have a subscription or something specific to a league. I don't know. Like there's so much changing in the landscape that I don't know that it moves a needle. I don't know. For this year, we're going to look, this is one of those things in like 5 years from now, we're going to look back and really understand what was happening, in the path with the choices they've made with like being on Apple and stuff. And so I don't know, man. I think it's a tough choice right now to figure out what it's going to be.
Yeah. I think it was Kalen Kyle on the Apple broadcast made a good point that look at what the NCAA tournament that is so popular here in the States did. They added play-in games. Mm-hmm. And that helped to kind of amp up the tournament. I wonder if that does that here. I think yes, but there's also a lot of teams, right? There is a lot of teams. There's almost 40
to Ron's
teams.
point, maybe if these extra teams had to do a play-in, maybe I don't know.
Well, and that's what they're doing. But 18 out of the 29 teams made it into the playoffs.
Over half.
Yeah,
that's well over half.
Right. But half of 29, 13 and a half, somewhere in that range. 14 and a half. My math's completely wrong. 14 and a half. Sorry.
You're doing good.
Thank you. But you knock out 4 of those teams, right? It takes you down to 14 teams actually make it in. Those four other teams are playing for play-in places to it. So yeah, Interesting. Now, how this plays out bracket wise, right? So I'm gonna try to get through this in terms of how the new playoff format goes.
Right. This is also why I say what you're about to read is exactly why I say there are too many teams.
You know what? Fair enough. And before you go, Ferris, no, it didn't help. And I'm going to let you explain why with this.
Okay. All right. So we have wild card games, as I said, that are going to take place in both the West and the East, right? Those will happen tomorrow. And in the East, you are going to have those 8th and 9th teams, Red Bulls taking on Columbus, which I believe that game is going to be played in New York, if I'm not mistaken. And then over in the West, you have similar play-in games between Sporting and San Jose being played in KC, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we'll stay with the East for the time being. The teams that have been matched up, right? You have whoever wins that play-in game will take on the Shield winners, the first overall team. That'll be Cincinnati. And what will be a round 1 best of 3 matchup, which means they will play 1 game at home in Cincinnati. They win that, great. Now, Cincinnati has to win on the road. You're thinking, well, in UEFA Champions League, there's an aggregate, right?
Nope.
No aggregate.
No ties either.
No ties. So,
what's the point?
So you have to. So the first team to win 2 obviously will advance, right? That makes sense. But every game in round 1 will have to have a winner, no ties, no aggregate score. There'll be home, away, home. So is this like baseball in the opening round? Right? So if a match is tied at the end of regulation, no extra time will be played. Teams will participate straight in kicks from the penalty spot. So we usually see this in friendlies, right? Community Shield, I think, does this, right? They don't go to...
Yeah, and certain tournaments do it too.
Yeah, right? So anyways, all right. So those 2 teams. Now, the other teams messed up. Remember I said Philadelphia Union and New England, not Philadelphia, New England, played in the last game. Well, they are matched up 4 and 5 in the table. Their 3 games will take place. Cincinnati's on 10/29, which will be this Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And this Saturday, the Union will take on New England in their first game at home. Best of 3.
Which I still, like, I don't understand the point of the best of 3.
Right.
Aside from it's a gigantic money grab.
And all of these teams are playing on the same day.
And all these players are already tired because they've had an entire crazy season.
Playing best of 3 in soccer, not baseball, where you stand around half the time, shoot your spit, and then run 5 feet.
So I cannot believe that the soccer player union for the MLS was down for this.
Is there actually that though?
Yeah,
there's.
Yeah,
sure,
it exists.
Well,
didn't they have a thing not too long ago? Yeah, I'll look it up, but it exists. It exists.
Well, and kind of
the MLS Players Association.
There you go. Not linear correlation to this, but I just saw that like the 10 highest players in MLS report, 9 of those players are on teams that didn't make it into the playoffs.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What are the rules for yellow cards? We're going to do like the World Cup or something where like, because there's so many friggin' games.
The reset.
There
are rules. I think there was one game where somebody suspended for the first round of games. I don't remember who the hell it was, but man, I don't. Let me see. I'm going through the MLS soccer.com.
Just keep going. I'll get that.
Okay. Anyways, all right. So to finish off the East, you have Columbus playing Atlanta 3-6. First game taking place on a 11-1 3-game series. That third game, obviously, to be determined. Then we get to our Orlando City will take on Nashville this coming Monday, which I will certainly be in attendance for. Best of 3 series. We win the first here. They win the first here. We go away, so on and so forth. That is your East. Over in the West, whoever wins between Sporting KC and San Jose will take on St. Louis in St. Louis. That game will take place on Sunday. And also on Sunday, Houston versus Real Salt Lake. Probably the tastiest of the bunch. 2 very good teams. Interesting teams. Should be fun there. Best of 3 series. LAFC Vancouver. Remember, they played also in the last game on decision day. They take on each other. And there was some bad blood in that game. They kind of got a little fisticuffs there and did the soccer kind of push you, push me. No, and everybody piles up and nothing really happens. But regardless, they got into it a little bit. And then what I think is a very intriguing match, Seattle and Dallas. You could see that go 3 games. I think you could see Dallas advance.
Here's what's going to be really telling. If the teams that managed to do two games instead of 3 whip the crap out of every other club that had to do 3 games to get to the thing, it's going to really tell you how dumb this was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a real possibility.
But you scroll down the new playoff format, and honestly, they when they're describing it, they make it more difficult than it is, right? One, the 3-game playing for soccer, right? 90 minutes, you're playing 3 of those things. It's not baseball. It's wild. And it's all to grab for Apple TV and this new deal to try to grab people, right? Because if you remember back, and you go back to what, February, March, this playoff format wasn't even announced until less than a week, days before the season started.
I'll bet the MLS Players Association has something to say after the season.
Possible. I don't know if they have enough sway to sway what Apple TV Plus does. Look at what Inter Miami's doing.
Anything they want.
But Apple TV's playing into that, right? With the amount of subscribers and the things that they get and the amount that they're paying for, well, what's his name there? It's messy. I know. It's a joke. But interesting. So now then we get into a normal bracket style, right? So really only this first round kind of changes, because then you get into semifinals, which is only a single game. Conference final, only a single game. MLS Cup, only a single game. But the rhetoric that you have to kind of sift through to even get there is mind-blowing. And the reason they start this next week, right, this weekend, is because somewhere throughout all of this, there's an international break. And they break for 2 weeks, which is why we're going to be playing in December.
Do you know what would fix that?
What's that, Blake?
If we went on the effing international calendar and just did a longer break over the friggin' winter.
So do you know who I want to see play? I want to see play in December 9th, either being played in Seattle or Philadelphia.
Nice
or
chilly.
New England, where, like, especially in Seattle, a fake pitch, freezing as hell, windy as hell. Now you get to play a final in Seattle
on a frozen tundra.
Right.
So what's the point of trying to avoid? We can't do the international calendar because it would be during the winter. I mean, like, so now instead your most important games are in the winter. It's stupid. This is stupid.
Blake, you're pushing me more towards that. I like that we have something to do in the summer here, which is why I'm glad this season takes place. But I don't fully disagree with you on that.
When your Orlando City loses because they're playing, and I say that it's all Ireland, but loses playing on a frozen pitch to a team that you know they're better than, like, infuriating.
And with that, that's your La Liga's roundup.
Could you imagine if Miami had been better and freaking Messi had to play a final or something, like a semifinal in, like, frozen Seattle? Like,
they would have moved that to, like, July
in a
4th.
Heartbeat.
Yeah.
We're going to move to a neutral location in Arizona. Yeah.
Right. So, real quick, just to go back to the whole yellow card question from Blake. So, once the playoffs begin and up until the conference finals, these rules are in place. A player receiving 3 yellow cards will be suspended. For clarification, a player who receives a 3rd cumulative yellow card in the conference semifinal is eligible to play in the conference championship because the yellow card accumulation is reset. Whamp, whamp. So get your 3 if you're going to be up there, because it won't matter.
It won't matter. Just do your thing.
Right. If a player's club does not advance to the next round, and a player receives a 3rd yellow card, the suspension does not carry over to the MLS regular season. So go get your 3rd yellow card. because it won't matter. A player who is issued 2 yellow cards in the same match is suspended for his next match for which he is eligible, including the playoff round matches and the MLS Cup, which makes no sense. Then red card.
Well, that actually does, because it just literally means the next game.
Yeah, the normal rule.
Right,
basically.
the normal rule. Right.
So yellow cards can reset.
Well, but what's correct?
same
No,
game.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
But then it also says, I love this here, right? So for the next match for which he is eligible, including MLS playoff cups, MLS Cup, and the next MLS regular season match. So
Right.
in the final, you get sent off. You're not suspended for the home opener in March.
I don't.
MLS soccer.com.
Yeah. A red card. A player receiving straight red card in the same match in which he previously received a 3rd cumulative yellow card.
The fuck does that mean?
I don't understand how that works. Will be suspended for his next playoff match.
Hold on, say that again. So
I guess this is possible. A player receiving a straight red card in the same match which he previously received a 3rd cumulative yellow card. So what they're saying there is you committed a yellow card foul, you got your yellow card.
in 3 consecutive matches.
Correct. Well, 3 cumulative yellow cards.
What if you just received a red with no yellow cards?
That's different. That's red card
Okay.
suspensions. That's later.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right. So you, in your 2 previous playoff games, you got a yellow card each. And on your 3rd, you get a yellow card. So you're going to be suspended. But then you do something just stupid and you get straight red. It's not a yellow card that turns red.
Then you're just suspended for the next playoff match, but not the final or the first game of the next season, right?
So that doesn't
My
make
head
sense.
hurts. Oh my God.
A player who receives a red card in any MLS Cup playoff match, whether it's a straight red or 2 yellow cards, is suspended for his next match.
We've established that already.
Yeah. And then there's a whole disciplinary committee thing. But there's something that is puzzling to me as I'm going through these rules. There is something called disciplinary points in the rule book. A foul is 1 point. A technical staff warning is 2 points. A yellow card is 3 points. Second yellow card, 7 points. Straight red card, 7 points.
Oh, this is like the house points, right? Like if you do really good, then Hufflepuff does really, really good. if you do something bad, you take away points from Gryffindor, right? Is that what this is?
I don't know, because there's no explanation. It says disciplinary notes, gives you the list I just read, and then it says when an individual receives a second yellow card, the club will receive a maximum of 7 points total. Asterisk, a club can only receive a maximum of 7 points for any individual incident. There is no other explanation.
So what? Yeah. So what?
So the club is getting points.
But what
Or-
happens?
or they're taking away
What's the
points.
retribution of getting those
I
points?
don't know. I got to look this up.
So there could be 20 fouls in a game. You get 20 points.
Nope, you can only get a maximum of 7 for any individual
that's
incident.
right. So then you get like your card punch for your next free sub, or like what?
So get your 7 points because everything else is free.
Then it's okay.
Yeah.
What is the what is the points? Have to
I
do?
don't know. I'm going to look this up, but this is for another pod.
Continued.
Yeah. MLS deep dive.
The MLS is so fucked.
Wow.
I don't understand it. And why are we
Vince.
just finding out about this now? We've
I
been
don't- I've
following
never
this how
heard
long?
That's because it was created 3 days before the season started. But oh shit! Fuck! I just watched. The Goblet of Fire, and they had points in that. So we're gonna add points to this, but I'm not really gonna say what that is yet. So then we're gonna do this. We're gonna. Oh shoot! I just watched the Atlanta Braves win a 3-game series in opening round. So Atlanta United could do that, right? Yeah, sure.
I
go ahead
say
and do that. That's their game.
time that you go to the Harp and Celt to watch a match and the yellow card drops, I want you to yell 3 points to Gryffindor.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, gents, let's wrap this sucker up. Beer mentions of the pod I had from the main beer company, the Lunch India Pale Ale. Friggin' awesome. Do what's right, and that beer is good and all right.
From Ivanhoe Park Brewing here in Orlando, we had the pumpkin brown ale called Never Too Late, 6.9 on the old ABV.
Oh, that is higher than I thought.
And boy, was I right. As it warms up, it gets sweet.
It is very, yes, it's very sweet. It's very sweet, but it's good. I enjoy it.
Bears, you got us this Latan quote?
Sure do. So, just talking about fire and pyro earlier. He refers to an incident where the Italian caused a fire by setting off fireworks. That Italian being Mario Balotelli. He said, "I like Mario Balotelli. He's even crazier than me. He can score a winner, then set fire to the hotel."
I love it. I love Zlatan.
Well,
all right,
but there's no, we call it the. I'm going to butcher this quote. There's no greater gift than the present. Anyways, when asked when he bought his future wife, what he bought his future wife for her engagement present, Zlatan said nothing. She already has Zlatan.
I mean, how are you going to top that? And the answer is you can't. You cannot. Please follow us on all the socials. If you, however you listen to us, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or however you get your podcast, and let us know. And spread the word about the pod. It helps us reach more folks. Get us a screen grab of it. We'll get you something fun in the mail. And then that wraps us up. Oh, you got something there, Ron?
Yeah. Brian Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Should have received his stuff yesterday or today. So by the time he listens to this pod, he should be well stocked with magnets, stickers, and a scarf.
Awesome. Thanks again, Brian.
Yeah, thanks so much for helping us discover that I had a lonely and disembodied voice floating along in the pod. It was kind of weird to listen to for a little bit. All right, gents, I think that wraps. I've come back. It is time for one last thing for me to tell you before I venture away this Halloween. I do not know if you know this, but us vampires, sometimes we have to go to the doctor when something is wrong. I went to the doctor and told him of a very strange thing that happened as I went to buy this human for his blood. Before I could put my things into his neck, the human said, "Oh, I am turning into a vampire." And then he did. And I asked the doctor, "How did this happen? I did not even bite him yet." And the doctor said that I suffer from premature ejaculation.
Well done.
Have a happy Halloween, everybody. I said happy because you drink beers on this show.
Oh, no, you should have. No, you ended with a walk-off. You ended with a walk-off. That was a wonderful setup.
That is not how Dracula dad jokes work. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Boooo-tiful Game.